doesn't know I'm recording this clip. He's having some trouble right now. It's a feed issue. He's real mad about it.
No? All right, you're live.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and do it.
Oh my God.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, I need Ear Pro.
And it's not even working though.
Oh.
Dude, what the f?
That's not good.
Okay. We're gonna do this real quick, okay?
Do it in the middle of the road like a man.
What's up, guys? It's Jake with Untitled. We're coming at you with the final video about the PSA Jakl. So we've had this thing for quite some time. As you know, we put out a video probably a couple months now at this point. We've been shooting this thing off and on basically every single week that we've been filming other stuff. We've been shooting this out there with us, probably putting about 600 to 700 rounds at this point, both suppressed and unsuppressed, obviously. And I wanted to just put out a final review for you, a final video, if you will, to tell you the truth about the PSA Jakl. At first glance, people hear PSA and they think, oh, they're expecting a budget option, and $1,100 is not necessarily that. However, I beg to differ, because they are actually introducing a bufferless foldable stock, because it's a bufferless AR-15 essentially, with a little hidden Picatinny rail there. $1,100, you don't think on budget, but when you include the fact that it does have a monolithic rail, it does seem like a pretty good option. But there's some things that we like, and there's some things that we really actually don't like about it. Let's talk about the things that we like. Well, number one, it is a bufferless system, so it's really cool to be able to have an AR-15 with a folding stock that still actually functions. In addition to that, having a monolithic rail does make it so that you can put lights, or really in particular lasers, without having to worry about losing zero after a long period of time of shooting. In addition to that, it does come in with a lot of compatibility with your standard AR-15 parts. It does take standard AR-15 lowers. That makes it wonderful for, say, if you want to like swap this whole upper out for like a 300 blackout version and keep the same lower, you can do that. You can very much do that. So I like the compatibility and I like the versatility it has there. 10.5-inch barrel makes it very nice, makes it very useful for putting a suppressor on there. And because it does have the standard 1.5 by 28 threading, it's all going to be very kosher with what you typically find on AR-15 setups.
But
there are some issues. The very first thing we notice is when you are running an unsuppressed setup like we have right now, it's extremely loud.
my sweet baby God, that's a lot of gas coming out downwards.
Yeah.
That was a big concussion, little boy.
You okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I'm glad I had headphones on or I'd be deaf, I guarantee it.
The concussive force, even with just a flash higher and not a brake on there, is ridiculous. That's pretty typical with a lot of 10.5-inch barrel ARs though, so I'm not really necessarily even counting that against it. But what I am going to hold against it is the fact that the weight, it feels so heavy. If you put this on a scale, I think it comes in like roughly like 8 pounds or something, which is pretty bulky. But the balance of the weight is where you really have a significant issue. Just holding it on top of having like a light or like a suppressor earlier, there's so much weight in the front end of it, it feels so off balance. Again, that's part of the issue of having a bufferless stock back here, or excuse me, brace. Not today, ATF. All that weight's up front because your components in here, the piston, that long stroke, all that stuff, everything in here is steel. And with that extra weight, it's just so front heavy.
American steel.
It is. It is. At least I hope it is. It doesn't really afford itself to be used for a lot of different attachments like suppressors and flashlights and PEC systems and all that stuff. You'll know that before we had like a magnifier and a red dot on here. Even with just that added weight, it just got really unwieldy. It made it very unfun to use, and it made it more necessary to have a sling. Now, if you watched our top 5 video, you know that with that actual little QD attachment point there, it's kind of in the way whenever you're actually racking the charging handle. We put the charging handle on the other side because it is ambidextrous, but even then, you can see here, if I was, say, left-handed, and pulling it, I would be bumping into that every time I'm racking it. The placement of this QD attachment point, I don't really like it because you're gonna hit it with the finger there. I don't know if we should do the sling. because it's kind of a problem. Because of the weight distribution of the firearm and the position of that sling attachment point there, that's definitely going to count against it. It's just, you want to put a sling on, but then putting a sling on it makes a whole bunch of other problems with actually the manual arms of the actual firearm itself.
Okay.
Another issue is making it cycle properly with a suppressor. Just so you know, we are clear here, okay? So I'm gonna start pointing it towards the camera here.
Yay!
We do have an adjustable gas block here, obviously. It is currently in position 1, which is made for like basic 223. And you can go all the way to position 4, that's supposed to be made for suppressors. In our initial testing with the suppressor, we kept this plug on, and we had it all the way, hey, I can actually move it. We had it all the way in the 4th position there. We were unable to get the cycle successfully.
Now, what's going on, honey? Or
Like
not?
that. Like that. Mother. Okay.
I have not seen it do this before the upgrades.
It was like literally hanging up every single round while having a suppressor on. And we were just like, what the heck, you know? I mean, it's supposed to be the suppressor position. You'll notice my pattern is going that way now. Oh, God.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
What was that?
Don't know. So they're flinging out here. They need to be going out this way. Why is this happening? We had so many issues cycling that it actually did a number, and I'm going to hold the bolt back here so you can take a look at this. It actually did quite a number on our finish here.
See how close I can get to that.
Yeah, get in there, see what you think. See, you can actually see a lot of the damage. Now, there is some blackness there on the inside edge because of where the carbon has built up, but that's all basically bare aluminum right there. And it's really actually put noticeable dents and wear right there where casings were actually slammed into it where they weren't cycling properly. So after cleaning it and everything, I was still having the issue. And so I thought to myself, okay, what could be the source of this problem? There's another plug they give you. They don't really tell you what it is. In the instruction manual, it just says the suppressor plug. It's got like an S stamped on it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of strange there. I thought maybe it was just like an extra plug or something. A lot of rifle suppressors have different varying levels based on how they're designed. I found how much gas is pushed back. They gave you an additional plug in order to kind of match those different gas systems that can be found in other suppressors. What we ended up having to do is we had to swap out the plug for that suppressor one, and we had to go to position 3. It wouldn't work on position 4 of the other one, or 2 or 1 of the suppressor plug. It would only work with our suppressor and the ammunition we were using. It would only work on position 3 of the suppressor plug. So it's good on them that they included that extra little adjustable gas plug there for you. I wish they kind of like spelled it out a little bit more for you, made it a little bit more clear, instead of just throwing it in kind of like a Ziploc bag and hoping that you'd figure it out.
Did you read the manual?
I did. I actually read the manual.
Before you get accused of it in the comments?
No, I read the manual. And now, I will say this also. There's different instruction manuals going on. There's different instructions. It didn't include any information about that other plug. Some people may get like a little pamphlet or like a little thing in there, a sheet of paper or something, that tells you more specifics about that other plug. So a little inconsistency there. Wasn't really a big fan of that. Had to do a lot of research. I finally figured it out after about a week or two of doing some research on my free time. But again, it would have been nice to just have that information available right off the bat. That's another thing I didn't like about it. In addition to that, do you see the length of this handguard? I would like to have seen this whole system be about 1.5 to 2 inches longer to come out maybe roughly right here. Maybe it's flush and matches where the threading of the barrel is. So that way you have a little bit more space up here to actually put on more stuff, because right now we just have a flashlight. But if we put, like, say for example, a PEC box right here, and then we've got like our pad back here, and then, you know, we've got our EOTech, and if we tried to like push the EOTech down and put like a magnifier here, you don't have enough real estate to actually do all that stuff. And that's a major problem. Well, we'll like to have seen more rail space available.
So this is an odd bird, and I won't disagree with anything you've said. What I'm going to say is it's weird in that it both doesn't have enough space to put everything that you need, but it's so front heavy that by the time you put everything you need on it, it's a little much out on the tip.
Exactly.
You know, it's, I don't love it.
And it's a monolithic rail, so that kind of that kind of lends itself to be optimal for like a PEC box infrared laser or whatever you want to use up there. It wants to be that, but the weight imbalance and the amount of space you have makes it kind of a challenge to make it like that.
It wants to go the distance, but it's just not long enough.
Let me be clear. Wait, what?
Its manufacturing specs leave something to be desired.
Story of my life right there. If you're looking to try something like this with a long stroke gas piston system, and you're looking to get in some kind of buffer tubeless AR-15 like this, it's not a bad choice. It's a good universal rifle. Is it the best that you can get for the money? I'm not necessarily sure, because of where it is such a unique proprietary system. It leaves you a little bit limited on being able to say, for example, put a longer rail on here. There's less customization of what you could potentially do with this system. Would you be disappointed if you bought this? I don't think so.
Your neighbors might be disappointed because of how loud it is
This
if you
is
shoot
true.
at home.
This is true, and we do quite a bit of shooting out here. Thankfully, I text my neighbors every time we shoot, so they know nothing crazy is going on.
Sometimes they shoot with us.
Sometimes they do. What I'm trying to say is this a bad rifle? No. Would I get it? It's hard to say. If you got this, and this was your first rifle, you would absolutely love it. If you got this, and you've got something like a SIG MCX with that also has a folding, thing back here, you may be kind of disappointed. Now, that's comparing an $1,100 AR folding stock to a like $2,500 AR with a folding stock. Would I recommend it? If you're on a budget, I can't say I would, because there's a lot of other options, including other rifles from PSA that you can get on a budget that may better suit your needs. This is kind of the weird place in between the high end and low end. It's not exactly mid-tier. It's something of its own.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot better to be said about it, really.
It's just something.
It's not the
of its
first
own.
one I would go for off the shelf, but I would love to own one. You know what I mean?
Guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Did you pick up a PSA Jakl? I'd love to hear from you. We will see you next time.
You just want to talk about it, honey?
We just need to talk about
Honey,
it.
is that all you need to do?
Lord,
Just a little
yeah,
old talk about it?
Lord, I'll tell you what, we gonna just talk about it now.
Lord, honey, I tell
We
you.
are clear now, yeah.
Is that all clear?
Yeah.
Hey, look up in there now.
Lord, I tell you
now,
what.
Lord, I want you to look.